Why, hello, and thank you for choosing the Vegan Luna podcast. If you came here to listen to influencers, business owners, people that are really making a change in this world and really creating some amazing ideas and amazing inventions, then you came to the right show. This show showcases some of the top people in the world that are making an impact, whether it's the environment, whether it's for health, or whether it's for the animals. This podcast is also available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Purium, for providing some of the best organic superfoods that you could find on the market, as well as Vegan Nation, who is the first ever company to create a cruelty-free currency.
All right, hello and welcome to the Vegan Luna podcast. We're here with another exciting episode, and we have Miss Jessica Karwat. Did I pronounce that correctly? How do you say your last name?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, from Germany.
Well, if you say it in German, you say Jessica Karwat.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, from Germany, and she is someone that helps vegan ladies feel empowered, healthy, and strong. She is a certified vegan nutritionist and certified fitness coach, and also the host of the Seeking Veganism podcast. And I'm so delighted to have her here with us today. And before we get started in introductions, we're going to do what I call the quick vegan questions. We have 5 quick vegan questions. Okay? So, question number 1. What do you think it will take for us to get to a cruelty-free world?
I think that even just the smallest change each one of us can make is already going to have a huge impact. So, even a person deciding like, okay, I'm first gonna go vegetarian and then I'm gonna get eventually into veganism, or just cutting out, meat first and then cutting out, specific products, or deciding like the smallest action from everyone would have such a big impact. And I think this is something that most people don't realize, that even, that whatever we do and whatever we pay for has some kind of impact. So I think this would probably, be the first step for most of us. Because I'm speaking from like the people that I know that are not vegan, and I just imagine the impact that all of them would have if they would just do one thing differently in their life,
So you think it's basically just a collective effort, like if just the majority of the people have gone plant-based and that's what it's going to take? Do you think like maybe like laws or systematic change maybe needs to happen, or the way subsidies are, like maybe instead of giving like the animal agriculture, it's given to plant-based foods or plant-based companies? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the more we decide to, purchase the plant-based alternative, the more people are going to produce it as well. And the more demand there will be. So it's a cycle, of course. So that's also what I always say. When there is a demand, the more stuff of it will be produced. That's how the system works. And it's the same with meat. So the argument that what are we going to do with all the animals if we don't eat them is just like, really? Where are you from? Have you been to school? So yeah, I believe that, and honestly, I see that already a lot. People that usually eat meat are starting to try the plant-based alternatives because there's so many out there. And I remember this store where I'm from 5 years ago, all they had was tofu. And now you walk into the store and there's a huge shelf or like huge like section vegan vegetarian, which is just like, I have goosebumps just thinking about it, because you can get anything vegan today. So there are no more excuses in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. All right. So question number 2. Who is your biggest mentor or inspiration? Who's inspired you, or really who's someone you look up to on a daily basis?
There's, as in like mentor, I always pick like a specific person for a specific area in my life. Because I feel like there are so many areas in our life that are important, and I don't think there is one person that covers all of them perfectly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I personally, I listen to a lot of podcasts as well myself, about, self-growth and self-development and success and self-love and mindset and everything basically. But I always look up to people that are good-hearted. The moment I realize a person is only doing it for the fame, I'm out. Like literally, I'm out. And I don't support that. I don't support people that want to scam other people. And I think I'm pretty good at reading people, so that's why I decided to follow those kind of people only in my life. And the moment I realized other people drag me down with their content, I unfollow them immediately. They might be like 1 million followers big. I don't care, because they're not good for me. So I know I didn't give you a specific name, but it's very hard for me to choose one person, to be honest.
Can you name a couple? A couple that we know off the top of your head?
So one thing that I can tell you, and I don't want people to be like, really, but since I've been a very small kid, a very, very small girl, I've been admiring one woman in my life the most, because she has shown me that you can use your fame and your success to help other people. And that person is, and most people don't know that, but that person is Shakira. She is from Colombia. She was born and raised as a poor kid, and she worked herself up, to success. And she has worked so hard in her life, and she has used the fame that she has in her success to help other people and other kids in her country itself. And she's building schools, she's building communities, she's giving them education. And that has been one of the biggest inspirations in my life, because that is one of my goals as well, that one day I'm going to use the success that I have in order to, help other people and make a change.
Yeah, for sure. And she was just in the Super Bowl. Did you see?
She is amazing. Yes, of course. You're asking the biggest Shakira fan ever.
Well, I mean, I don't know if people watch American football over there, so that's why.
Well, if it's Shakira, I watch anything.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah, she did a great job. All right, yeah, she's amazing. All right, so question number 3. What's the biggest testimonial that you've personally received? So like from someone that you helped out, someone that you inspired.
I've been very surprised when I left the program that I used to coach people in. So I used to work for someone else before I started my own program. And when I left, I asked, my past clients if they could, send me a testimonial, because it would, of course, like now starting my own program, it would help me to, of course, get my own clients. And, so I was literally like, when my clients wrote me, like literally every single testimonial, I was just there crying, because I was like, wow, and some of the things that, of course, like people have told me is I have changed their life. It's like, what? Like, I'm just you think to yourself, you're just a regular person coaching another person. And then, they've told me that I'm very, very genuine. And I think that is one of the biggest compliments, that I really care. And sometimes you can be so like blinded by the success of people and, money or whatever, that you forget to be genuine and kind-hearted. So I sometimes get comments like, oh, you're not a good salesperson, because I'm honest, and I'm not going to sell something to someone if I feel like the other person is struggling. And so just hearing that they feel like I'm genuine, I really care about their well-being, was probably the best thing that I heard so far.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. All right, question number 4. What is your favorite food?
Oh my God, I love food. This is like the biggest biggest thing in my life. Seriously though. I love so much food, like literally, like I'm obsessed with oatmeal. Like I know it sounds so boring, but I'm like the biggest oatmeal obsessed person ever. Like I could have oatmeal 5 times a day and not ever get bored of it. Like seriously, that's how bad it is. I love like nut butters, like oatmeal, protein powder, and nut butters are like everything. I do love to like, you know, indulge in like vegan burgers and pizzas and pastas and stuff. But I also love my healthy food. Like I also love, you know, my salads. I really love having the balance of both. But yeah, when it comes to like favorite food, it's probably like oatmeal with nut butter. It's so boring. And chocolate. I forgot chocolate and ice cream. I could go on. Yep.
So everything, basically.
Everything. Like you can always buy me with food. Like, you know, if I have a bad day, just bring me food and I'm good.
So why are people afraid of carbs? Like, what the heck? What is up with that?
I don't know. I mean, it's just,
Like, what percentage of your
it's
diet
been,
do you say is carbs? Like in your own diet, what percentage?
I think it's like 50% now at the moment. Yeah, 50%, which is actually also according to our needs. But why people are scared of carbs is because it's what the diet culture has done with us. You know, it's someone that created this amazing protein vegan, or not vegan, sorry, keto diet and all of that kind of stuff, said that carbs are bad, but not all carbs are bad. Yes, if you only eat, you know, sugary stuff, these carbs are bad, but good carbs like potatoes, you know, rice, whole grains, all of that stuff are good carbs. And so you have to distinguish, you know, between what you really put into your body and which carbs are pure sugar.
Even fruits and veggies are carbs too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like what the heck?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not bad. All right,
Yeah,
cool. So, question number 5: what inspired you to start your podcast?
you know, a couple of years ago, I really started listening to podcasts because I just really like, I used to live in Barcelona and I had like a 30-minute walk to my workplace. And I always used to walk like at the beach, and which was, you know, the best, you'd probably like way to work that you can ever have. And I realized, okay, I have like half an hour and I'm like a person that constantly needs to be productive. Like I cannot relax. It's very bad, but I have to feel like I'm actually getting somewhere in life. So I started listening to podcasts and I really fell in love with it, like every kind of podcast, but mostly like about self growth and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, because I just really, you know, love content like this. And I also realized that I really like talking about the things that I'm passionate about. And so when I became vegan, I was like thinking to myself, like, okay, I feel like there's so much information still lacking. And so many people would ask me about veganism and, you know, specific topics and all of that kind of stuff. And I always loved talking. Like, I just love talking about topics that I'm passionate about. And so I always had it in my mind, like one day I'm going to start my own podcast. One day I'm going to start my own podcast. And it took me quite a while to actually start it because I was kind of scared. It's always like, if you try something new, you're scared to actually do it because it's so new to you. And once you do it, it's like, finally I did it. So yeah, I think just one day I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to just do it. And I thought about the name, which is the Seeking Veganism podcast. And I thought about specific topics, and the moment I started recording, like the first episode, I was like, this is so much fun. And then I started doing it, and I was like 10 episodes in, I started getting like such good feedback from people, and I just really enjoy it. It's just so much fun. And this is also my kind of way of vegan activism, you know. And nowadays my podcast is not only about veganism, but it includes everything like that is important to me as well, which is like, you know, health, fitness, mindset as well, because I always believe all of these things are interconnected. And if one thing is like off, let's say your mindset is off or your fitness is off, then the other things will also be off. So it all has to be a full picture. Of course, I'm not saying that you have to be perfect, but working on all of these things is super essential. And yeah, that's why I do my podcast. I love it. I get great feedback, and yeah, I wish I would have done it earlier. I'm sorry, my answers are like super long. I just
No, it's
realized.
okay. They're called quick vegan questions, but I promise you, like they never go quick. But anyways, I want to say the same thing. The key word that I always say about my podcast is that it's fun, you know, and that was the first thing that stuck out with me. And you're right, like a few episodes in, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes, you're like, this is so fun. And I was like, I don't even care. I just want to record anywhere, you know, and I just want to talk to everybody. And the thing that opened up my podcast to be like more expanded was someone. I was living in Kuwait, and someone messaged me and wanted me to be on their podcast and talk about my story. And I said, okay, cool. And he was living in Texas, in the States. And I was like, well, like, how are we going to do that? Like, I'm over here in Kuwait. And he's like, oh, we'll just do it through Zoom. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so we did it. And then I was like, well, send me the recording, you know, so I can take a look at it and put it on so I know how to edit it, so I can put it on my podcast. Then I learned how to do that. And then I learned how to do the recording on the Zoom. And once I knew how to do that, I was like, yes, I can talk to anyone and anywhere in the world. Like right now, I'm talking to you in Germany. And you just reminded me, because what happens is over time, because for me, the challenge is that I'm recording the video and I'm uploading the video and I'm making short videos from each one. So it's a lot of work for each episode. Like
It is.
I want to do, honestly, like, to be honest, one a day, you know? And I think I could do one a day if it wasn't like, you know, the video and all the other stuff, you know? If it was just the audio, I could do one a day for sure. But anyways, the point is, like, I was thinking, like, for my mentor, you know, and I think we talked about this in the past, is Gary V, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yes.
And so he always says, put more out, put more, you know, more and more. And I'm always like, I want to do more, you know? And sometimes it's like that, like, you feel that pressure to put out more content and more stuff and multiple platforms and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. It's just a really interesting dynamic, but the podcast is like so much fun. And you reminded me right now that, like, this is my favorite part. My favorite part isn't the sitting down and editing part. That's the part I don't want to do. I want to source out, right? But the part that I love is this part, you know, connecting and learning about people and learning their story and their journey and what brought them to where they are and who they are today. I always find it so fascinating. So with that, tell us a little bit about who we are. Who are we talking to?
So my name is Jess. So I'm originally from the south of Germany, close to Stuttgart. And my parents or my family is actually from Poland. So my parents at a young age moved to Germany and settled. And I would say half of my family is in Germany, half of my family is in Poland. So I basically grew up most of my life in Germany. And then at the age of 19 or 20, I decided, like, okay, I want to get out of this small town because I didn't really like where I was living. It was kind of boring. And I decided to just study abroad. And it was one of the best decisions I made. I studied abroad. I completely changed about, the way I see the world, the way I function, the way I work. And I studied marketing and business management. So that's also the area that I started working in initially in Barcelona. And I was at a point where, after working for this one company for almost 2 years, I was very unhappy because I felt like all I was doing was making a company that's already rich even richer. I didn't feel like what I was doing had any impact. Like I was just sitting in front of the computer. Like, it's not that I'm not doing the same thing at the moment. I mean, like, sitting in front of the computer, but I was sitting in front of the computer, not having any like human actual contact besides my colleagues. And I didn't see the impact that I was doing, because as I said, like, I felt like I was just making someone else rich and not fulfilling the actual purpose that I have in life. I was like, there's just so much more to life than working this regular 9-to-5 job. And I was like overworked, tired. I really lost touch to who I was, and I lost motivation to even go out. I would be super sad, depressed, cry all the time, have no sleep, until I got to this point where I had like 1 week of no sleeping at all, being on sleeping pills like 5 days a week, and they didn't even work on me anymore because I was like just so overwhelmed with everything. And I came to the point where I was like, okay, I need to quit this. And basically it took me 3 days to think about everything, and I quit my job. And that meant going back to my mom's place, back to Germany, and starting from zero again, basically, you know. And good thing I already had something in mind that I wanted to do, and that was vegan nutrition. At that point, I was vegan for 1 year, and nutrition and fitness have always been a very big part of my life. I always love to work out. Well, not always, since I'm like 16, 17, I love to work out. I was always very interested in nutrition and how it works and what healthy nutrition is. Even before I was vegan, you know, I always tried to have a very balanced diet, I would say. And then I was like, okay, you know, the market is there. Veganism is growing. Why not do something with that? So I decided to study vegan nutrition. And now I'm officially certified as a vegan nutritionist, which is amazing. I did my certificate as a vegan fitness trainer as well. So I have both. And then I was at that point like, okay, I have the qualifications, but what can I do with that? Like, I want to help people. I want to make them feel as great as I feel myself at the moment. And so I applied just by accident. I saw this online job as an online assistant coach for this influencer. And so I applied, and that was literally life-changing for me. I feel like in that moment, I found my actual true purpose, which is really like, with the knowledge that I have and with the experience that I've gotten so far, helping other people in becoming their best version, you know? And so that is where I am currently. So I was working for this influencer for a couple of months, and I learned so much. In that short amount of time, I really, really learned a lot. And I got to that point where I was again at this point where I was like, okay, why should I make someone else rich when I can make myself rich, basically? Or I won't say rich, but, you know, of course, like, I was at a point where I didn't want to work for someone else anymore. I felt like I'm at that point where I learned enough, and I want to use that knowledge and put more knowledge on top from what I know that, for example, wasn't used in this program, and really, you know, use it to my advantage, start my own program. And here we are. I launched my women-focused vegan coaching a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm a vegan online coach, helping women from all around the world feeling their best self, getting their health to the next level through, you know, training, through good nutrition. And it's also very, as I said, women focused. So like the cycle of the women also plays a big role that, you know, I help them understand their bodies, how they feel, why they're feeling that way. So yeah, that is me.
Awesome. So tell me, if I'm a female and I'm looking at your program and I want to sign up, right? Walk me through that process. How does that work? Like where do I find you? How would I log in? And what does the program really entail?
Yes. So at the moment, I'm mostly on Instagram because that's what I've seen is the most effective. So let's say, you know, someone finds me through your profile. They're going to see my profile, and, you know, I have a lot of content built around my program. So you're going to see my posts. You're going to see what it kind of already, like, the posts that I have are very similar, like, are representing me and the program, I would say, because these are my values that I deliver to my clients as well. So of course, you're probably going to see a story of mine or anything like that. And there's a link in my profile which will lead you to a landing page. And it basically describes my journey when I became vegan. And actually also what I didn't mention is that, which you can see on the landing page, I used to struggle with hormonal acne, which all then went away when I went vegan. So this is one big factor as well why I decided to continue doing this. But anyway, so let's say you're the female that wants to get coached. You see my landing page, you know, you see the story to myself, and then, you know, you see testimonials, and then you see basically what the program has to offer. So as I mentioned, like, you would probably first apply. So you have a link to apply to my program. I would look at, you know, I have specific questions that would show me, you know, I also want to make sure that we are a great fit. So if a female comes to me and I see that, you know, her goals don't align with what I offer, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be like, hey, I don't want to just scam you, basically get money off of you, and then you're not going to actually get the results that you want. So I make sure that, you know, every client that applies, or every prospect that applies, fits into my program and fits into my values. And then I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to message the person on Instagram and set up a call. And it's the first call is like a consultation call. So, or like a first coaching call, I would say, which is of course completely for free. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, make sure, you know, to get to know you, make sure like I know who you are, what your goals are, what your values are. And then basically you're going to have some time to decide if you want to join my program. And there will be probably a second or even a third call, whatever works best for the person. Yeah, that is it. And I mean, basically the program is, as I mentioned, you're going to get, you know, your nutrition plan or meal plan according to your goals, according to your needs. You're going to get a training plan also according to whatever your goal is. Maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's weight gain. You're going to get the woman-focused coaching, and you're also going to get, you know, coaching only by me. So you can contact me at any time. There is weekly client calls or check-in calls that we would have. So yeah, that is basically it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. So take it back. Tell me what made you decide to go vegan and cut out and eliminate all animal products in a time where that's not a common thing. Like, not everyone's doing that worldwide.
I feel like I always loved animals, always. And I remember when I was younger, I saw like, it was very funny. I saw like this clip of these piglets on TV. And I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. And in that very moment, my mom was serving me sausages made out of piglets. And I look at the sausage and I look at the TV and I was like, Mom, I can't eat that. Like, I cannot do this. This is a baby. Like, someone killed a piglet to make a sausage out of it. I was like, I can't do it. So I was very young. I was like maybe 15 or 14 or something. And I said to my mom, I'm going to be vegetarian. Of course, at that time, I had no idea what vegan even was. It wasn't a thing back then. So I was vegetarian for like almost a year. My mom was very supportive. She would buy me all of the horrible back then vegetarian options that really tasted bad because people had no idea what they were doing. But still, my mom bought everything for me. And then, you know, the problem was I was still very young. I had no, like, I couldn't make my own food. I was kind of dependent on my mom at that time as well with what she was buying. And then it kind of faded away. But I always had it in my mind that it's actually not right what we were doing. And then I got to that point where I was feeling very bad. Like, I had quite bad stomach issues because at that time I was living in South Africa, and I used to, like, when I was there, meat is like the staple of everything. You have meat like 3 times a day, literally. So I never used to eat a lot of meat, but then when I was in South Africa, like I would eat a lot of it. And I'm kind of ashamed just thinking back that, you know, there was a barbecue every evening and like my plate was like 90% meat and like maybe 2 pieces of broccoli or something. But I remember I was feeling so bad, like such bad stomach issues. You know, digestion was just horrible. And I started doing a little bit of research, started, you know, looking at YouTube videos, of course, Freely Banana, that like I saw her and I saw like all of these YouTubers talking about how amazing the vegan diet is. And I tried the vegan diet for like a month, but I was still not that convinced because I was lacking information. I was lacking the knowledge of how to really cook. Again, I was still in South Africa and it was like almost impossible because I was always surrounded by people that were just constantly eating meat. So I kind of faded away again. And then I got to the point where I stopped taking birth control. And a month later, I had, maybe you saw a picture of it, I had very bad hormonal acne all over my face, my neck, my back, and it was painful. It was like the inflammation was so bad. And, you know, if you're a young woman, I was like, what, 20, 21, 22, something like this, maybe? Yeah. And you're a young woman and your face is covered in acne and you really try to fight it. Like I had pills that I was, you know, taking, creams, I had some therapies, I had everything and nothing helped. For 2 years, I was struggling. Like it was so bad that I wouldn't go out the door because I was crying. I would be scared. If someone like rang on the door, I wouldn't open it if I didn't have makeup on because I felt so unattractive. And then I was like, okay, I need to do something about it. After 2 years, it's still not better. I have to do something. And so I started researching about the vegan diet again. And I found like some YouTube videos of girls about like saying the exact same thing. You know, they weren't vegan. They had even worse hormonal acne than I did. And then when I went vegan, it all went away. And so I saw that. I was kind of convinced, but not yet. And then for some reason, I saw a video of animal agriculture. And I saw that video of like the way, you know, the piglets are being thrown and just horrible images. And I remember I was in my bed in Barcelona and I saw this and I just started crying. And I was like, okay, what the hell? Like, this is so horrible. And I basically, that was the moment like I decided to become vegan right away. So thank God I didn't have a lot of like, I didn't have meat at home at this time. So all I had was like cream cheese, normal cheese, and maybe eggs. And I gave that away. And I went like from one day to another. I was like, I'm vegan. Like, I don't care. I'm vegan. And of course, in the beginning it was a little struggle and stuff because I didn't inform myself enough to really know, you know, what are the alternatives, you know, what does a diet look like or how does a diet look like to feel the best. But the crazy part about it is after 2 months, all of my acne was gone, all of it. When my mom saw me, and the last time she saw me, I was covered in acne. And then she saw me like 4 months later and she saw me, she was like touching my skin. She's like, how the hell did you do this? I was like, well, I'm vegan. And the funny thing about it is I was still eating a lot of junk food. I was eating like vegan burgers. I was eating donuts because I wanted to try it all because I was like, how is this even vegan? But that was, I think, for me, the biggest like wow effect because, yeah. And I think I'm still vegan because of the animals now. I would say I went vegan because of both, but what keeps me going, that I don't make excuses once in a while, you know, because there's people that say, okay, I'm gonna have meat once in a while. I'm only now vegan because of the animals, or that is the biggest motivator. Otherwise I would probably make excuses once in a while to eat something else.
Yeah, for sure. I think the more that I talk to people, the more that I see that it's often a health related issue that kind of leads them down that path and gets them to the, let me really try this. Let me just give it a shot. And the same thing for me, you know what I mean? Like I was really struggling with health. I had an autoimmune disease that was affecting my spine, and I was trying to find anything to get better, and then I got really sick, and then I finally just said I'm going to try it, and I tried it, and then not sick anymore.
That's
amazing. So I think that, and then you see what happens to the animals, and then you're like, there's no cheat days. Like it's not even a cheat day. It's just it's like, that's not food. That's violence. Like I was taught this with food, but you don't even think, like when someone's eating like any animal products, you're just like, that just shouldn't be there. And you picture like images of like what the animals go through when you see that. And so it's just, it's different. It's not like, it's almost like you're watching the movie The Sixth Sense, and it's like you're in shock for a minute because like you see a dead person right there, you know what I mean? But like really you just see like a dead animal, And so I think that's super common. And I mean, so many people are seeing that and experiencing that, and it feels good too, like when you're talking about like your testimonials and what people say. And I have a testimonial little thing on my Instagram as well. And it was funny, I sent it to someone recently because they're like, how many people really say this, or how, like they're talking about my approach as if my approach is wrong. And I'm like, well, you can look at this. I mean, this is my approach and this is how it's been working, you know what I mean? And so I just think that it's very fascinating, like that, and hearing when people get better. And what I've come to learn is, and maybe you've learned this already, but I'm starting to learn that, not that I didn't know in the past, but I'm really starting to think of how can I be the most effective. And I'm leaning a lot heavier on the nutrition side as well, because if you get the nutrition right and they understand it, then they learn about some more things. They'll likely stay for the animals, but they're going to think back to that. I feel so much better, or I healed my gut, or I healed my acne, or I healed my migraines. I mean, I've heard, I'm sure you've heard like every single story out there of someone that has healed something or significantly improved it, or, reversed something. And so I'm also studying in nutrition and working on getting certified as well, and looking into awesome. helping people further online and expanding that. And the podcast has been a great connection with that, and a great gateway, to the people the people like you of the world that are trying to make a difference, right? So with that, what really inspires you, to do some of the things that you do? So it's one thing to like cut out animal products and feel healthy and then focus on some nutrition, but then what inspires you to really give back to other people? And when was how would you say the turning point for you was that? It was like, what, I really want to help people go vegan, and I want to help people get healthy.
I mean, what inspires me is the moment I see them feeling great and them looking great and them telling me like, hey, this is making me feel so good. I'm seeing results. I have more energy. I can sleep. I'm not anxious anymore. I stopped struggling with my eating disorder, all of these things, and I think that is the biggest motivator why I mean, everyone has this. Everyone has off days. Everyone has days where they doubt their self, where they ask themselves, like, why the hell am I even doing this? Because it's hard, it's hard to do your own thing, and to do something that is not that common. I mean, everyone can have a 9-to-5 job, but really going out there and, doing something that most or a lot of people won't agree with is another thing. And that is like at the moment I see, when I have a client call or or one of my clients tells me like, okay, thank you so much. I'm just feeling so good. I'm like, and this is exactly why I'm doing this. And it gives me strength to continue doing that. And this is my reminder that every time I feel down, I remember, okay, there's people that need you.
How do you differentiate? There's one thing that I was thinking while you were saying that. How do you differentiate between what's vegan and what's healthy? Because it's very important. A lot of people think that maybe vegan equals healthy, and that's not true. But also, the thing about the word vegan is vegan tells you what not to eat. It doesn't tell you what to eat, right? So how do you differentiate that with people and say, okay, it's important for you to take these things out of your diet, but maybe what are some of the things you tell people to add into their diet? What are some important things that they really need to hit to maintain healthiness?
Yeah. Well, and since I used to struggle with an eating disorder myself, for me, the word health is much bigger than just the healthy food that we eat. For me, health is an abundant lifestyle in a vegan way, of course. So now, if you're already vegan, and not only are you cutting out certain foods of your diet but you're also cutting out, you start to cut out all of the processed food and all of the food with high oil and whatever, you're setting yourself to like even more of a restricted lifestyle. And since I come from the background where I know that the more restricted you are, the more you want something that you cannot have, it's very negative on your health and on your overall well-being. That's why I promote a balanced diet or a balanced lifestyle, I would say, and everything has to be in place. If you crave chocolate, vegan chocolate, have it, but try to build it around your health in general. So be aware of, okay, you cannot have vegan burgers. I mean, you can, but if you have a vegan burger every day, which is processed, which is high in oil, high in salt, high in sodium, it's going to make you feel worse as well. So if you have a vegan burger once a week, have it if you feel like having it. But just building the balance is, I think, the key. And everything that is too much is bad, So of course, too much sodium is bad. But also, if you only have fruit, it's also bad. So when it comes to veganism, like you can have raw vegan, you can have fruitarian, you can have keto vegan, you could have 80-20, like carb, how do you call it, the carb diet. You have so many different things that you can follow, but at the end of the day, the more you restrict yourself, we as a human, we're not used to restrict ourselves. We are used to get the energy from food. That is why we're eating, right? And because we need the energy, because our body functions on the food that we eat. So I think understanding that there is a correlation between what you eat and how you feel is probably the biggest, factor that I try to tell people.
Do you also think about, like, for me, when I think about, that makes sense, but everything that you said, but when I think about, some people might not even know what to add. You know what I mean? One of the biggest questions that I get personally is, what do I eat? Like, where do I start? Like, I mean, okay, if I take out all these things, yeah, I could have a substitute, but what else is there? What else do I kind of eat? Sometimes I get that question. And even for myself, I think back to before, like, the way I used to eat was I used to eat a lot of junk food before I was vegan. And now I eat definitely a lot healthier, for sure, than I used to. And when I first switched, it was still a lot of junk food in the beginning, and like you said as well for you. But now I think about how do I add in those fruits and how do I add in those veggies? So for someone that doesn't do that, like, do you have any tips, like creative ideas, like how do they add in the fruits and the veggies? Because sometimes that's hard for some people to do. We're like, oh no, I'm not eating fruit, or no way, I'm not eating the veggies. I'll go vegan, but I don't want to eat fruits and veggies. What do you say? Do you ever encounter that?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, first of all, do your research. Then, second of all, find some very yummy, cool recipes that are something that you would say you would love. Like, let's say, you loved burgers before, then I substitute the meat patty with a vegan one. and just small changes, then of course, reach out to people, ask them for help, ask them for advice, because it's so much easier than you think. And I think one of the biggest factors which has convinced me was trying out vegan restaurants. So if you are lucky and you live in a city where you have, the possibilities to try out vegan food, do it. Like, you from LA, right? So if you're in California, like, my God, you have so many options. Pick out the best restaurants and you will be so convinced so quickly. And I wouldn't already like say try to go for the healthiest option, but try the foods that you feel like having, and this will help you really understand like there is actually nothing that you will miss, nothing. And then of course slowly start. So maybe start with like one meal a day. Let's say in the morning you used to have like a regular yogurt with fruits. Well, then take out the regular yogurt and use unsweetened almond yogurt, or soy yogurt, or coconut yogurt, or cashew yogurt. There's so much. Use that instead. Or let's say like for lunch you had what can you have? Maybe like a paella or something, the Spanish, like you can have. I had the most amazing vegan paella in Spain. Take out the meat and add in like the beans, add in maybe the vegan chicken. Like I recently bought vegan chicken, which was just incredible. It was so good. Play around with it, it's that's what I would recommend.
All right, awesome. So is there anything else that maybe you want to add that we didn't talk about already, or maybe if there's something that you want to reiterate that you feel is like really important, like one big thing?
I think for people that are listening that are not vegan but considering it, give it a try. Like, don't be scared to give it a try. Like, our lives are so short, and I believe that it's hard to get out of your comfort zone, but it's definitely worth it to give it a try. Now we are living in a time like 2020. There's so many resources out there, like so many. All you have to do is Google vegan, and you don't even know where to start, because the recipe, like you have so many recipes, you have so many vegan options, you have so many restaurants, you have everything. So in my opinion, there is literally no excuse to not give it a try, and find your big why. Why do you want to do this? Because everyone comes from a different background and has different motivations, different goals. So find your big why as to why you decide to go vegan or to give it a try, and take baby steps. Don't overwhelm yourself with, like me, going cold turkey, or cold vegan turkey in that case, overnight, but just do it baby steps. So let's say you substitute what I said, breakfast first, then you go into dinner, or maybe lunch, whatever works best for you, and reach out to people that can help you. So for example, now that I have my own program, like if you are, for example, vegetarian, or you're considering to be vegan, these programs can help you with that, to make sure that you get all of the nutrients in, and you have a balanced diet and you feel good. So yeah.
All right, awesome. That's great. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Probably on Instagram. I think that's the easiest way. I always reply to everyone. Every request that I get, I see every message, every comment. So you can also reach out to me if you just have general questions about veganism, health, nutrition, fitness, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm always there.
All right. So that is, you want to share your Instagram handle?
Yes, it's @seekingjess_. You call that line underscore, right, in English?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I wasn't sure.
All right, awesome. And so for those watching on YouTube, I'm also on YouTube. You can find this episode on YouTube and everywhere podcasts will be everywhere podcasts are recorded. And then you'll be able to see the link somewhere up here as well. All right. So thank you so much. I had a great time. We learned so much, and I think everyone's going to really benefit from listening to this one.
Thank you so much as well. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Please, please, please make sure that you guys share this with anyone that you think will find this interesting, and also make sure that you guys are subscribed, because I can see a lot of you guys are listening, but you aren't subscribed. So please subscribe, and also don't forget to go to my website where you can leave comments and see more content at veganluna.com.